man. Yo. Them lonely boy blues, only boy blues. Them lonely boy blues, only boy blues.
Hey guys, welcome back to Unpack Your Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Perks, and in this video, we are discussing a review video of a guy giving the worst dating advice. We didn't really properly explain what he was talking about per se, so I'm going to play the video right now that we're reviewing, and then we'll go to the content of us talking about it and discussing it. All right, so thanks guys again so much for tuning in. Hope you guys get some value. Peace.
The worst dating advice that women receive goes as the following. You're young. Don't worry about men. Chase your career. Chase the bag. Build your empire. And then later on in your 30s, the men will come. That is the worst dating advice women receive, and I get so many DMs, emails, so many one-on-one sessions from women who've received that terrible advice and are suffering from it today. And the reason why it's so terrible advice is because that advice applies to men. It does not apply to women, because getting a career, getting the bag, building your empire are all masculine things. And those masculine things attract females, heterosexual females. Those things are going to attract. So when women are using the masculine strategy to attract a masculine man, it does not work. And so many women send me messages, reaching out to me, are calling me for help because they're in their mid to late 30s and they're saying, where is my husband that society, my mom, my pastor promised me, because he's nowhere to be found.
Because that's annoying.
I saw, and there's inconsistencies with what he was saying. I just don't agree with all and everything. I don't agree.
I just don't understand what are we supposed to do? Like, if we're not pursuing a career, then after we graduate from high school, like, what are we supposed to do? Like, nothing.
I'm assuming, but I think he's meaning. I think the general thing from how I internalized what he was saying and like hearing it is, there's a particular myth that he's talking about that if you decide to go chase your career and do XYZ, and then. And he said it and the men will come in your 30s. I think that part's not true. Like, if you decide to go chase your career, do that, that's totally fine.
Like, men are less attracted to you?
But it doesn't mean that it's going to open the door for, like men are just going to be flocking at you because you made a career. Like, I don't think that's something that...
I think that's true.
I don't think something that are men desiring for a woman necessarily. Maybe that's more like... That could be like a desirable thing for a woman to... You know, a man who has a career, educated, whatever.
Right.
Whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I don't think it's something that's like a man striving for in a woman per se. And it may be... I'm not saying... There may be some.
I can see that. I can't speak to that.
But I don't think it's like a... It's like oh, she got a career. Like... Because at the end of the day, like... I'm supporting this whole shit anyways. I don't.
Right.
Whether you do it or not is irrelevant to me.
Right.
I got my shit. I got us. I need your nurturingness.
Right.
I need your femininity. I need your emotion. I need your compassion. I need your welcoming. You know.
Not your pocketbooks.
I don't care about your money. Like,
right.
it may be something for women to care about, but I think that if your goal is like, I'm doing this so I can get a man later on, I think you might be approaching it wrong. If that your MO is to try to get a man for these reasons, I don't think that's what men are going to be looking for.
I just don't think women start doing stuff because of that. Yeah. I maybe I'm wrong, right? But I just don't think women are like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get this career, start this business, so I can get me a man. Like, I don't think anybody does that.
I don't know, like,
right? Like,
I don't. It doesn't sound like, right, I've never heard that personally.
Sound right? I
never heard it like, I want to do this to get a man. I don't know.
Then if a man like deems that quality like less valuable in a woman, like, are not a thing, like, I don't know, I can't speak to that, but I think that women pursue things because they want to, not because they want a man. And I also think that if that's true, right, because that's how you should raise people, sons or daughters, you should raise people to figure out what it is that they're passionate about and to pursue that. Right? That's for men and women, right? That's how you should raise humans. You know what I mean? Because I think that that's just my personal opinion. So in that instance, if they're not doing that, then what are they doing? Like if, and again, this is my personal opinion. If you're not doing that, then what are you doing? You're wasting air. That's not nice. But I'll say this.
So everybody who didn't go to, go to school.
It's not about going to school. And
all right, finding your career.
Yeah, it's not about going. It's about
you
finding your passion, right? And pursuing that, right? That is regardless of school, age, whatever it is, finding what it is that you're passionate about and pursuing that. I think all people should do that. But if you're not doing that, then what are you doing?
And I think it comes down to your ideals. Like, are you looking? If you're a woman looking for a traditional man, then the ideals are not necessarily going to be career oriented, because the ideals that you have for a traditional man, he may want in a traditional woman.
After, that's after.
And I think that you,
after.
I think that you can, I think that you can still establish your career and do whatever you want.
If a man meets somebody,
I don't think it's necessarily going to be a driver.
I can see that. I understand that. But if a man meets somebody, does he meet her like, oh, I can't fuck with her, she got a career?
No, I don't think it comes to that.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing that men do? I don't know. Like, I can't fuck with her, she got a career.
I can see where some men get insecure about, like, if they're not up there making as much. I mean, it can be like an ego thing. I can understand that.
Okay, that's something, right? But then that addresses the man, not the woman, right?
Yeah. So, but I think that's where that comes down to more, is like, if it's going to be an issue like that, it's probably an ego thing from the dude.
Okay.
I
can see that, and I can also see.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say I can also see like a man saying like, I don't want her to work after we're married, right? Yeah, and that's totally valid as well, right? And those are the traditional values that you're talking about, right? And that's something as well, right?
Yeah. And so that depends on what you want. And I mean, if you want a man to take care of you, and like you want these ideals for like him to be a provider and all these things, then are you willing to trade off your career for that? Because it's like, you can't expect for him to be the traditional man, but then you be career oriented and do whatever you want. Agreed. It's like, it don't match up.
Agreed. And I agree with that.
And if you're going to keep looking for that, then it's like,
I agree with that.
You got to also look at what those type of men want if you're looking for those type of men,
I agree. And, but he did not say that. He said women pursuing these masculine things, thinking that it's going to bring them a man, is the worst advice that they've ever gotten. And I'm like.
And I've never heard that. But I've never heard that. And I think if their thinking is going to bring you a man, that's not good advice, because I don't think that's going to work. But I don't think that's what people are saying. I don't know either. Maybe he's heard something that we don't know. I just don't know. I personally never heard it.
I've never heard that.
I've never heard it either. I don't know about that.
And since when is like making a living masculine?
I don't think it's masculine.
Because like, it's either like to make a living or be homeless, right? Like those are literally the two alternatives, right? Like it's either I make a living or I'm homeless or I'm living with my mama, right? Like none of those things works for me, right?
But I think if you prioritize that over your relationship with men, or you prioritize like after you are looking for a person to settle down with. And this, I mean, I may be moving the goalpost a little bit with this situation.
But you have to, because he didn't give us enough words otherwise.
I'm trying to like see where the inconsistency is, but maybe that's what he's saying is like, if you are chasing your career and doing X, Y, and Z, and you think that this end result is going to bring you the man that you want, you maybe have to look in a different type of man, because the type of man that you may want to go for may not be value these things if your goal is to be in a relationship. And there are men that do value that. There are men out there that do value that. It just depends on,
who.
What do you mean?
Like who the man is.
Yeah, who the man is. And you got to base it on a individual by individual. There's some men that are like want the woman to be career oriented and work the business together, And then there's some men that don't. And there's some women that want to be taken care of. Some women that don't.
That was wild to me. That was wild to me when I heard it, because I don't understand what the alternative is. And that's why it's wild to me, because when you're talking about somebody making a living for themselves or pursuing a career, like that's essentially what you're talking about. Somebody pursuing a career means somebody making a living for themselves, right? Even if you take passion out of it, right? Like I'm pursuing this career so that I can be able to afford the things that I want. You know what I mean? So that I can, that has nothing to do with a man, right? And if you stop messing with somebody because of that, then that's another conversation, right? If you stop messing with a dude because you're like, I need to focus on this, that's something totally different. Then he can say whatever outlandish things he wants to. In that instance, I probably still wouldn't agree, but whatever. But then, so if I don't pursue a career, right, then what else am I doing, right? Because then if I'm not doing that and I'm looking for a man, right, because that's literally all I have else to do if I'm not pursuing a career, like that's pretty much it. It's like pursue a career and look for a man. So then if I'm out here putting myself in a position and like looking for a man, then men would be like, you thirsty. You know what I'm saying? And then that's not a super attractive quality in a woman either. So then I'm like, well, damn, we really can't do shit. We can't pursue a career, right?
We can't be over here just looking for men.
Right? If we can't pursue a career and we can't just be out here looking for men, then what the fuck are we supposed to be doing? Right? Like, that's why it was frustrating for me, because it always seems like men, when they have these conversations amongst each other without meaning to do so, what they do is they put us in a box. They put women in a box, and they're like, I need my woman to do boop, 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 boop. And I'm like, well, that means, like, that's it. That means you literally can't do or be anybody but a wife, right?
And there may be women that just want to be a wife. So those men are built like that. Those women.
There are women who are built like that.
And it just it's just trade off. I mean, if you think about it, there's no solutions, just trade offs. Like just, what you want for this person, you may need to trade for yourself for this, and it goes in compromise in marriage, everything. There's just trade offs, and the conversation was very vague. Yeah. And it wasn't really clear, and that's where the issue comes in, because we don't really know what he actually made. It was kind of just, it didn't really get expanded on the details, and we need more specifics. And like I said, it was a very vague and general statement. So I mean,
I won't go. I might go listen to the full podcast. I might go listen to it. I wasn't. But
I mean, I agree with some things he said, but other things I'm just so like, I think
maybe he makes it better. I don't know. That's why
I think for me, I hear a lot of the, red pill, blue pill thing. I hear a lot of the red pill stuff, and like I agree with some of the things, and other things it's just like they kind of like look at women in a way that I don't necessarily agree with. And I think there's times where the red pill is good, like incorporate your masculinity.
Right.
Don't be about your purpose in your career. Don't let anybody subtract you. That kind of stuff is good.
Right.
But also when it comes down to this like rhetoric of like, like women don't even matter, and like it's just they shit and that's it kind of thing. And to me, I'm like, I just don't necessarily agree. But so I'm like, there's some things that are valuable, and other things it's like, this is just not for me. And I think sometimes people take it a little too far. They've probably been hurt. Probably been hurt a little bit too much, and been jaded by a woman or two women, and then
Thank you for saying that. Because when I hear stuff like this, he makes a podcast for men. He does, and he says it. Like he says that his podcast is for men.
Yeah.
But when you hear stuff like that, right, and like I said, it kind of puts you in a box, and you're like, and I think to myself, like, man, I don't ever want to be with no nigga like that, right? That thinks like that, right? And if you make a podcast for men, it makes you think that maybe this is really what men think, right? And then you saying like, nah, that's kind of out there. What it does is it like black women are already on this scale, right? Where ain't no good black man. There are good black men. Ain't no good black man. You know what I'm saying? Like they're constantly on a roller coaster, right? Where they're like, ooh, ain't no good black man. And we being disrespected, and they don't love us. And how come they don't take care of us? You know what I'm saying? So there's constantly this roller coaster, right? That black women have, like this love-hate relationship with black men that I really disagree with, right? It bothers me to see that, right? It bothers me as a black woman to see that, right? Like, how can you have a love-hate relationship with your partner? You know what I'm saying? And not even your partner yet, but even if y'all not married, like all black men, you should look at we in this shit together, right? So all black men essentially are your partners, right? Because we trying to uplift us together. We in this thing together. Black people as a whole are in this shit together. So when I see black women have this love-hate relationship with black men, it bothers me. But when black men say shit like that,
it makes it kind of adds to that.
It adds to it, and I'm like, I can't even defend you, because normally I want to defend you, right? I want to defend you and be like, black men go through a lot. They don't have safe spaces. You know what I mean? They carry so much. You know what I mean? They don't have a place to lay it down.
Don't let the few black men that say that speak for all black men, and vice versa. And I think what happens is now let's have this little mini discussion. It's like we're both putting people in boxes and labels. Yeah. And I think that's what happens. Like, we get put into, you're supposed to make this type of money. You're supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be doing it how I pretty much say to do it. I'm like, hold up. And then the women are like, y'all saying like we just ain't this, or we ain't shit, and and like you just want to go leave for work, or not, it's like we keep putting labels on each other, and it's a downfall of each other.
So I will take my own advice and get off social media.
just don't take one person's one, because there's this one guy, we gotta wrap it now. There's one guy, George Floyd, I don't know who the guy, he was a basketball player. and he had said he went on like national TV and he was like interviewing, and he said his words were, he said don't get, he's talking to the men like, don't get anybody pregnant, and don't, because you don't want to deal with a bitter black woman or something like that. He said that was like the words. Yikes. The word he said, right?
Yikes.
And so like I was having a conversation with somebody about it, and I was like, I don't agree with him, labeling it just black women. If anything, you don't want to be with a bitter woman in general. He doesn't want to be
Period.
black, first,
Period.
But the person took it as like the way you were about, like how you were about to take like how he said that one statement, and it spoke for a lot of black men. It's like, just because this nigga said it don't mean he's talking about all of like black men. Like, this dude just really jaded by all the women that he chose are incorrect for him.
Yeah.
Like, he must have been really upset to say,
Right. These are his personal experiences.
So let's not take his personal experience for every black man or every black woman, and let's base it on just our individual experiences. If you want to say that happened to you, for 3 black men screwed you over, and that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But that doesn't mean every black man.
Everybody.
And you can keep that if you want, but don't put that on everybody else. Like,
point taken.
And that's what ultimately we got to look at it more of an individual basis and everything, So
I feel better about his statements now, because when I saw that shit last night, I was mad.
Yeah, no, but so that's what happens. You get mad, then it's like those dots, and you're like, fuck.
Yes,
and you're like,
yes.
oh, hell
And
no,
then
hell
you
no,
need-
hell
yes.
no, hell no,
And then you
hell no.
need-
And everything he says, no, oh, hell no about this too. It's like,
here's the thing.
let's open.
Sometimes my calm, rational brain don't kick in right away by itself, right? I'm sorry to admit this. This is my growth area, right? Sometimes my calm, it does eventually kick in, right?
It just takes a minute.
Sometimes it takes a minute, right?
Takes a little starting up.
And
little,
it's
come on,
usually, it takes a minute, right? Unless it's triggered by somebody else's calm, rational brain. And then I'm like, yeah, you right? And then calm, rational brain kicks in. But if I don't have calm, rational brain right away, like, it's going to take my calm, rational brain a minute. You know what I'm saying? To kick in. It always does, but sometimes it takes a little while.
And I tend to be really calm and rational. So, I mean,
So you need,
as you see all my discussions, I'm pretty calm and rational.
Sometimes the calm, rational brain got to take over.
But yeah, and that's why we gotta observe it just as a whole, and not like, hey, this guy is blanket statement for everybody, because he said all women, and it's like, and the other guy said black women, So like, if you say all women, you're making it seem like it's all women when it's just probably the women you dealt with.
And you're like, well, how do you know the advice that black women get?
Yeah. And he was like, oh, I've heard so much in my DMs, but it doesn't mean that those are the black women that choose to watch your channel.
It was just,
you know what I mean? So
yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
there's a plethora of different women.
Yeah. It's
There's
a lot.
plethora of different ones. So
it's like, it's a lot.
So
You're
that's,
right.
I think the conversation needs to be had of like, let's stop putting each other in boxes, and let's start basing each other on individual basis by who I interact with, who I dated, and what they did.
For sure.
And that person may be a psychopath.
Calm, rational brain.
That person I dated may just be the psychopath that I don't want to deal with. He may be the stupid nigga, and she may be the dumb, the bitter, bitter woman. Like, and that's just her. Right. That's just him.
You may have just chose wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are you choosing, bro?
So instead of
your auditing skills are terrible.
Yes.
Let's put the real blame on. Your auditing skills are not good.
So instead of blaming a whole race of people, let's look at the way you chose.
Yeah,
right?
because your auditing skills are not good.
You probably just made a bad decision, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you choose a bad tomato, it doesn't mean all tomatoes are bad. It
exactly.
Just means you chose the wrong
You don't know how to pick the right ones, or why do you keep grabbing those bad tomatoes? A million tomatoes
in the world, you keep getting the bad one, right?
So how are you picking them? How are you picking them is the question. And why are you still picking them if you keep seeing the same?
So then people stop.
Skin?
So then what happens is you stop picking tomatoes, and you like, man, I hate tomatoes.
I don't like tomatoes.
Yeah, you like, let me move on to avocados, right? But if you choose one good avocado, right?
Yeah, I agree, but also, like, if you're gonna say that means you're gonna turn gay. Like, I'm cool on that. Like, no matter how bad women get, like, it don't matter.
Why would we turn gay?
Because you're turning from different things. Like, tomatoes, like the woman,
I mean,
the
like,
man,
tomato.
and avocados,
No, I
like
meant
the total. Like,
no.
I'm just saying.
I didn't even mean that.
I'm just saying. Like, that's like playback. Hold on, we ain't gonna turn
I meant
gay.
like, if tomatoes are black women, then maybe avocados are like Spanish women. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay,
or like,
okay,
so
I
because
understand.
you choose one good avocado, then you like all Spanish women is the shit, and that's why I only fuck with Spanish. That's why I only fuck with avocados now, right?
Okay.
Because you chose one good avocado. Now you like all avocados is bomb. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, all I mess with now is avocados. My bad.
I'm so glad we had the disclaimer.
Or like Chinese women, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I had one good zucchini. You know what I'm saying? So now zucchini is superior.
Just stop.
I don't know.
I'm glad we had the disclaimer.
I was not thinking that. The fact that you thought that was like, what?
Why would it was a totally different species. I'm like, yo, like, I'm about to.
It's not a species. Tomatoes and avocados are both fruit. They're both fruit.
I mean, yeah, true. Technically, yeah. I just didn't think. My first thought wasn't like. I'm thinking like maybe something more like a tomato.
What's more like a tomato?
I don't know, but I just didn't think.
Onion?
I don't know.
I
don't think of avocado, and I'm allergic to them, so my pre-bias is coming in. Okay, I can't do it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
okay.
saying? So that's something I just stay away from. But
because
anyways.
when you said that, you was like, no. I was like, how did we get here? Like I was literally confused. I was like, how do we get here? I don't understand.
We had the same
brain
kind of,
jumps.
I
was like, wait, what? I thought the avocado was very clearly like Spanish because like I'm very clearly like in my brain, avocados, guacamole, like Spanish, right? Like clearly.
Yeah, I was like tomato is tomato, like tomato. Avocado dick. I don't know. It's just like I don't know. They don't match. They imagine, and I ain't about to sit there and agree with this. I'm not gonna agree with this scenario. I'm not gonna agree. I have to put this disclaimer out there.
He said avocado dick. What?
I said no. We can't use this analogy because I ain't about to eat no avocado. I'm gonna eat some tomatoes. Pick some better tomatoes and shit. I don't know. Anyways. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh, story time.
Tomato, avocado dick. What?
I'm just saying, like, look, that's where my brain went. I was not going to go there. But anyways, thank you, Chantal.
I just don't understand how.
Yeah, so.
He said avocado dick. What? I was like, what the?
I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I was not about to agree with that one.
How did
my brain was like, you're changing species, all right? And I'm like, yo, I ain't about to sit here and go from women to men. Like, no. I wasn't doing it.
You said no, and I was like, what? Wait.
I wasn't going to agree with that until we had some clarification, okay? Because I'm over here thinking it's dick. And I'm like, no. No, nigga. All right, bye, Chantal.
Them lonely boy blues, only boy blues. Them lonely boy blues, only boy blues. You don't hear about it every day in the news. They walk around with a frown, ain't got nothing to lose. Them lonely boy blues, only boy blues. Them lonely boy blues, only boy blues. You don't hear about it every day in the news. They walk around with a frown, ain't got nothing to lose. He was